I hear that everything in the last couple of days is going rather smoothly, given what the concerns were. And the bottom line, however, is that the issue of immigration falls squarely within the responsibility of the United States Congress.
Yeah, not the federal, not the administration, not the White House, not the departments and agencies, not the Department of Homeland Security. No, it's pointing at them over there. They did it. She's the border czarina, and no, it's somebody else's fault. Blame them. Yeah, and that's what Biden does constantly with every subject as well. Every failure. Yeah, Congress did, and our news media, if we had a news media, what would they do? What would you do with a brain if you had one? Amazing stuff. We got, Katie Porter, Democrat Congresswoman from California, liberal leftist, obviously a single mother. She has children, and she, you may remember, what did she pour over her husband's head? Was it a bucket of ice? Oh, it was no, it wasn't ice. It was boiling. It was a giant pot of boiling potatoes that she poured over his head at the dinner table, and I guess there's no wonder why she's a single mother at this point. How she became a mother in the first place, I don't know. But she was on the television yesterday for Mother's Day because, she's the one that poured the bucket of boiling potatoes over her husband's head. Now she's a single mother, Mother's Day mother. And she's the one that psychologically tortures her 3 children with the secular apocalypse. The earth is on fire and we're all going to die, and soon. Let me just tell you that. Real soon. Let me tell you how soon that's going to be. I've got audio because she got another hard-hitting interview. By whom was she interviewed, you might be wondering? She was interviewed on MSNBC, which is an NBC fake news product, by who is their journalist? Their journalist is Jen Psaki. Jen Psaki, Colonel Klebb, from the James Bond movie From Russia with Love, with the spike in her shoe and the gasoline-colored hair and that stuff, the Soviet military uniform. Because when you're a Democrat, like, Katie Porter, who tortures your children and says that the earth is on fire and we're all going to die soon to her 9-year-old daughter, this is the brainwashing they give their children. And you pour a bucket of boiling potatoes over over the kid's father's head. This is good. Then they invite her on, the news media does, to talk about Mother's Day. Because in the Soviet Union, that makes sense. And then the person doing the interviewing is Jen Psaki, who was, until not so long ago, Joe Biden's White House press secretary. And then you become a journalist, right? Just like George Stephanopoulos, who was Bill Clinton's communications director, I think was his title. And he was a Democrat Capitol Hill staffer, then a Clinton campaign staffer, then a Clinton White House official, and then he becomes a journalist, a $17 million a year ABC News journalist, because the shortest path to a really big job in television journalism is through Democrat Party politics. And you don't have to have a background in journalism. God forbid. Jake Tapper was a Democrat Party Capitol Hill staffer, right? And then he had a date with Monica Lewinsky, And he wrote about it in the local city paper. And before you know it, you're a 7-figure CNN anchor, because that's the path to success in television journalism. Isn't that amazing? Jim Sciutto, as CNN anchor, went a different path. He was a reporter at ABC. Then he quit that and went to work in the Obama administration, to work for Obama and the Obama Democrats. And then when Obama left, he got the $1 million anchor job at CNN. See how that works? It's good. Chunk Todd, a former Democrat Senate campaign staffer, whose wife is, of course, a Democrat political operative with a company of her own. And she took in, $3 million from at least from the Bernie Sanders campaign in 1 year. And you may remember the Bernie Sanders campaign staffer showed up at the baseball field in Alexandria and shot Congressman Steve Scalise and tried to murder Senator Rand Paul and then Congressman Ron DeSantis and all the other Republicans on the field. But pay no attention to that. So let's play it. Since we're here, let's go to Jen Psaki, because, you know, when you're a Democrat political apparatchik, you are halfway, in fact, you're almost all the way, to a successful career as a television journalist with one of the major networks. Because as Benito Mussolini said, fascism is a merger of state and corporate power. And that's what Democrat Party and corporate media power. So here is Jen Psaki, and her pal, Democrat Congresswoman Katie Porter, over the weekend, Mother's Day.
You're the only single mom with 3 kids in Congress. So what's your advice on this Mother's Day to moms out there who are trying to juggle a lot, but they don't feel like they have the time to engage in our political system? You do, but you found it. What would you say to them?
You know what? Asking her for Mother's Day advice. Well, first, I would recommend that they pour a pot of boiling water filled with chopped potatoes over the head of the father of their children, all right? And then I would explain to the children that the earth is on fire and we have very little time left to live.
Well, I would just say that part of being a mom is caring for your kids. It's making sure that your kids have a bright future, and we cannot do that unless we have a political system that is honest, that is dealing with the problems of corruption, unless we have an economy that is strong and stable and
you know, the honest with the Biden family with millions of dollars coming in from communist China, from Romania, from Ukraine, from Russia, and a media that is so corrupt that they don't even bother to cover it. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Man, oh man. I looked up Jen Psaki, you know, because her journalistic background is that she began her career in 2001 with the re-election, the re-election campaign of Iowa Democrat Senator Tom Harkin. Hey, wait a minute. That's the same senator that Chunk Todd worked on his campaign. And U.S. Senate Tom Vilsack for governor. So in it, but where's the journalistic part of her career? So she began her career campaigning for Democrats, and that was in 2001. And then she worked for the John Kerry? Was it John Kerry? Joseph Crowley. She worked for Democrats and then more Democrats, then the Democratic campaign, Congressional Campaign Committee, and then the Obama administration, and then White House press secretary in the Biden administration. But wait, where are her journalistic career points? Oh, there aren't any. There aren't any.
You are not here to ask questions. You forget to whom you're speaking.
Colonel Klebb from Russia with Love. Just amazing stuff. That's so she's been a Democrat political operative, and then she was hired by NBC News. And she's got her own show now, right? She's
Inside Jen Psaki.
Inside Jen Psaki. I don't even want to talk about that any further. But you may remember her teaching. She explained what she's raising her 9-year-old daughter on, and she has 3 children. And again, the single mother who poured the pot of boiling water and potatoes over the head of the father of their children, presumably. We haven't done an actual DNA test, and you know how the Democrats are. This is the at NBC News when they hire a Democrat political apparatchik to be their anchor woman, and they invite this person on to talk Mother's Day.
I told my 9-year-old daughter that I was going to be speaking with you, and I said, "What do you think about climate change?" And she said, "The earth is on fire, and we're all going to die soon." And I asked her how that made her feel, and she said it made her feel angry.
Made her feel angry. And she's satisfied. She's so satisfied with this that she told the story on live television during a congressional hearing with Greta von Thunberg, the apocalyptic teen prophet of doom, and was very proud to tell the story that she's raised her 9-year-old to believe that she's going to be dead soon because the earth is on fire but at least she's angry. So she'll probably be looting soon because the Democrat Party. Now, Michael Piercy, sitting across from me here in the studio, he's the father of a great kid whose name is Max. And he's like Max from Where the Wild Things Are. He's the way that a boy should be. And in fact, today is Max's birthday. Today Max turns 8 years old. Max turns 8 years old today. And Michael shaking his head. It's blowing his mind because it seems like only less than that. But Michael, you may recall, after Katie Porter revealed that she's torturing her children and brainwashing them and indoctrinating them into an apocalyptic, suicidal death cult called the Democratic Party. Michael went home and talked to his son, Max, who now today he's 8 years old, but he was 7 years old when Michael talked to Max and asked him these questions based on Katie Porter's apocalyptic doom.
Hey, Max, what do you know about climate change?
Nothing.
And how does that make you feel?
I don't even know what it is, so I don't know.
Good answer.
Are you angry?
No!
Is anything on fire right now?
No. Why would it be?
Why would it be? See? That's normal. And then the apocalyptic, suicidal death cult that is the Democrat Party. All right, let me get to a couple of quick stories here, because Katie Porter, Mother's Day guest. That's the thing about NBC News. On Saturday, my best girl was in Oxford, Mississippi for the graduation of our nephew, the son of my best girl's sister, and I couldn't go because I started the Newsmax show last week, right? And so I was in town and I was by myself. And Saturday morning in the 7 a.m. hour, I went to the Metro 29 diner across the bridge in Virginia. And it's my favorite diner. And Newsmax was on the TV there while I was there. And I was sitting there having my omelet. It was a spinach, tomato, and feta cheese omelet. And I got the sausage well done, links, And I was enjoying my breakfast and just sitting there, being quiet. And a nice man came over and he said, "Hey, Chris, how are you?" And he said, "Hey, how are you?" And he said, I listened to your show and we had met once before and he said we just started talking and I'm eating my omelet and he's talking and I said, "Well, you by yourself?" Because we're standing there talking for a couple of minutes. And he said, "Yeah, I am." And I said, "Well, sit down." And so he sat down in the booth and we sat there in the booth and we just started talking. And he's a medical doctor. And a medical doctor of some renown, as it turns out, and sat down with me, and we hung out and we talked about, and he was telling me about some of my favorite jokes or some of his favorite jokes that I told over the years, and one of those when we were making fun of, and it was a couple of years ago, Joe Biden confusing his wife and his sister.
This is my little sister Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, you switched on me. This is my wife. This is my sister. They switched on me.
And then when we played that audio of Joe Biden confusing his wife and his sister because, the Democrats, they're, look at Hunter Biden's having sex with his late brother's widow and the late brother's widow's sister and, the Biden family.
She's my sister. She's my daughter. My sister, my daughter.
I said I want the truth.
She's my sister and my daughter.
And so we, Patrick and I talked about that, and he was telling me he's reciting, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I think I remember that." But nice listener and wonderful moment being out and about crossing Virginia Metro 29 diner. Used to be on Lee Highway. The Democrats changed it to Langston by Glebe Road. Great stuff. It was a great moment. And I have another encounter with a listener story from this weekend that I want to share with you too. It's good stuff. So, Eden Pure, they're having their famous BOGO, buy one, get one deal on thunderstorm air purifiers. When you buy one thunderstorm, you get one for free. See, no matter how many you buy, you get an equal number for free. You buy two, you get two for free. See where this is going? You buy 17, you get 17 for free. Make them as gifts and use them at the office and all over the house. The thunderstorm will completely eliminate any nasty odor, too. Even the worst odors. You got cigarette smoke and pets. Even Michael Moore, your mother-in-law's cooking. No challenge. Now is the time to order. Eden Pure's buy one, get one free sale is this week only. More than 350,000 thunderstorms already sold. Countless 5-star reviews online. Check them out. It works like a champ. But people are buying several for around the house and as gifts and for the office. Put one in your bedroom, your living room, your kitchen, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. Just go to EdenPureDeals.com. Put in the discount code Chris. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Chris, and shipping is free. Yeah, so another story. Great. Obviously, all the listeners are great because, come on. What more need be said? But I've got another story coming up, and more crazy. The border, terrorists at the border, all kinds of crazy Democrat stuff.
Part of being a mom, when you think about the core duty of providing an amazing future for your kids, we can't do that without leaning into politics.
Hey, Chris here with some exciting news. Now you can listen to me live on the WMAL app. Doesn't matter if you're in your car, in the office, on the go. The WMAL app delivers crystal clear around-the-clock news coverage anywhere with cell service or Wi-Fi. So don't miss a second of your favorite shows. Download the WMAL app today on the Apple App Store or at Google Play Store. All right, let's grab a quick phone call if we could. Let's go to Bill calling from Fredericksburg, Virginia. William, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Chris, good morning. Thank you for taking my call. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, my friend. Chris, I listen every morning. And you got my mind going this morning talking about Biden giving that commencement speech at a black HBC university.
Right.
So I've got a question. And I didn't watch it, and I didn't listen to it, so I don't know. And I'm asking in all sincerity, did they give him an honorary doctorate's degree? And if so, does that mean we now have a president and first lady who are both doctors?
Oh, see, that's kind of fun because, a lot of people think that not a Dr. Jill Biden's degree is largely honorary, too. Her husband was arranging for funding to the university that awarded her so-called PhD. They did give Joe Biden an honorary degree from Howard University. Howard University's criteria for Biden's honorary degree draws mockery as mental fitness questioned, is the headline at the Fox News Channel. April Gallup poll showed Biden's approval rating hit an all-time low, but it's true, an honorary doctorate degree from Howard University on Saturday for his analytical intellect and popularity on both sides. Apparently they don't get the newspapers there at Howard University because his approval rating is lower than any president since before Harry Truman at this point. Yeah, Simone Sanders on MSDNC went crazy. Well, that's redundant, I guess. Screaming, "This is not hyperbole." MSNBC $1 million anchor says the Supreme Court could make black history illegal. Because, the Democrat Party, they love to sow the seeds of racial division and so on. I need to correct something because we got calls from our brilliant and wonderful listeners correcting me on something. And so, this ain't CNN. I'm going to correct it. It turns out that Katie Porter did not pour a pot of boiling water with chopped potatoes over her husband's head. It was a pot of boiling mashed potatoes. It was a pot of boiling mashed potatoes because, that's the kind of person she is. The New York Post had the story at the time. Katie Porter scalded ex-husband's scalp with potatoes. See, that's the headline. And I disremembered it. It was the last time I talked about it was some time ago. But Katie Porter scalded ex-husband's scalp with potatoes, according to court documents. The former husband of Representative Katie Porter, the one they invited on NBC to talk about Mother's Day. Oh, you're the Barbara Billingsley of the 21st century. Let's ask you about Mother's Day. The former husband of Representative Katie Porter, the California Democrat, frequently abused him verbally and threw toys, books, and other objects at him, like Hillary Clinton with Bill Clinton. During their marriage, even pouring scalding hot mashed potatoes on his head during a fight. See, I just don't like the idea of wasting mashed potatoes because it's, such a great food. Matthew Hoffman, who filed for divorce from Porter in 2013, said in a request for a restraining order, God, it's good to be a Democrat, isn't it? That he was routinely called, I'm trying to, because I got to bleep a bunch of stuff here. He was routinely called by his loving and adoring wife and Democrat member of the House of Representatives, beeping idiot, F word, and beeping incompetent, F word. And his rage-prone spouse would scream at him. Also shattered a glass pot of coffee on their kitchen counter. Felt their house wasn't clean enough, and he's supposed to be cleaning the house, so she smashed the glass pot of coffee. And said wouldn't let him have a cell phone. Kind of an odd relationship, like he's a 9-year-old boy or something. Wouldn't let him have a cell phone because she said, you're too beeping dumb to operate it. Hoffman said of Porter, also been accused of ridiculing former members of her staff. A lot of the Democrats are really vicious, cruel people when it comes to their employees on Capitol Hill that are hired at taxpayer expense. When she gets angry, she will claw and scratch her arms and then say, look what you made me do. That's mental illness, okay? Hoffman said in the court records, she regularly says that I'm a bad parent in front of the kids. She's the good parent. The earth is on fire and we're all going to die soon, and you should be angry about that. Recently, the children began spitting at me and throwing their food at me, calling me bad daddy. This could be a good comedy movie, don't you think? Wow. It's important to find the right partner in life. Your spouse, your husband, your wife, very important. Porter took issue with how her husband Hoffman was preparing mashed potatoes for dinner, asking him, you can't read the beeping instructions. Then said she raised the ceramic bowl of steaming hot potatoes and dumped it on my head, burning my scalp, he said. Yeah. That's the thing. In response to Hoffman, the now ex-husband's allegations, Porter, now the Democrat member of Congress, then a professor of bankruptcy law, naturally academia, at the University of California, Irvine in Orange County, claimed in her own request for a restraining order that her ex-husband, ordered her out of the house and called her a dumb B-word, a despicable person, an effing evil. Sounds like those might be accurate statements, however, which the truth should be a defense. But this is, when you're a Democrat, this is all fine. This is all fine. And then the Democrat Party, and then after all this, the Democrat Party ran her for Congress, where she came to Washington and is cruel to the employees that serve her. Isn't that amazing? Well, maybe not amazing. I still haven't gotten to my story, have I? About my, I need to be, you'll understand why in a moment. I need to be a little bit general about this. Over the weekend, I left here on Friday, came back today. Over the weekend, I was walking on a sidewalk in Washington, D.C. I was, again, by myself because my best girl was out of town. And I headed out to do some shopping. And doing a TV show on Newsmax. So there's some things that I need now that I didn't need when I was only doing the big radio broadcast, right? So I was shopping. And I'm walking on a sidewalk, Washington, D.C., and I heard someone shout my name, "Hey, Plant," right? So and I looked up, and a pleasant-looking gentleman walking over and extended his hand, and I shake his hand, and he says, "Hey, how are you?" He says, and he told me his name, reminded me of his name, and so we met at CPAC, and we started talking. We talked about all kinds of stuff, about politics and news, and a couple of just standing on the, I was on the sidewalk. He's kind of on a raised thing there, and we're talking and about this and that, and again he said that we met at CPAC, and I remembered him, and we're talking. I said, well, what are you doing? What are you doing here, hanging out on the sidewalk? And I said, well, I'm waiting for my pot delivery. I'm waiting for my waiting for your pot delivery, and said, yeah, waiting for my pot delivery. He said, oh, okay. And where's they're going to deliver it? He said, well, he doesn't live in the district, right? He lives outside of the district. And he said, so it's so difficult outside of the district. Said, I just come into the district and then I have delivered. And you can go to stores all over D.C. and just walk in and buy pot too, right? And but he's out there and he said, waiting for my pot delivery. And while I was talking to him, a car pulled up and a beep beep, little beep beep, and he said, oh, here's my pot delivery. And I said, okay, good. Have a good pot delivery experience and stuff. And we shook hands again, and I had to get to a bunch of things that I had to do, shopping and wash my car, which I did myself. I didn't go to a car wash. I washed my own car and all this stuff. But and we had a really nice talk, and a smart guy and a nice guy. And we had met before at CPAC. And, it's just a little moment from 2023 in Washington, D.C. Maryland, I think, is very close to fully legalizing pot, right? And Virginia, I think, are they not very close to fully legalizing pot? But pot is, you can buy pot in Washington, D.C., but they're so stupid. They made it so you can't really buy it. You have to go in and buy a T-shirt for $500, and then they give you $500 worth of pot as a gift, things like that, because D.C. They do everything wrong. So 2 encounters with nice people. Nice people. Let me get back to the border here for a moment, because there's still a lot to talk about there. Let's go to number 6, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, and he had a heck of a week last week. Actually, Ron DeSantis is, but here's Ron DeSantis talking about the border and what a calamity it is down there.
It's a disaster, and it's a man-made disaster with bad policies, and so you obviously are going to continue to have bad things happen because they're not going to change the policy, but it should be the border should just be shut down, and that's what you do. If this were like World War II era, they would have shut that down in 48 hours. Our country does not get things done anymore, and that's something that we're going to need to change.
Speaking of, the Washington Post is being fully schizophrenic about it, as is the rest of the news media. Today's headline, costly predicament for D.C. amid an expected border surge. That's today's headline, front page Washington Post. But Saturday's headline was, at the border, a reset, but no surge. So there was no surge then. But on Friday, record migrant surge at border. Illegal crossings passed 10,000 per day, shattering all records. And then the Title 42 expired last week, and they say that crossings have dropped, but there are problems associated with that. They don't have as many Border Patrol people policing and capturing people as we previously did. They're now busy processing the tens of thousands of illegals that have already made it to this side of the border. And of course, the fentanyl and the human trafficking and the sex trafficking and all the other drugs, and the cartels love Joe Biden and the Democrats. They're making literally tens of billions of dollars off this period. So they say it goes from the record high, more than 10,000 a day. That's just caught, and the people that turn themselves in. I was having a text exchange with a law enforcement friend who said that down at the border, they go to where nobody is patrolling, and they find literally tens of thousands of footprints, the footprints of tens of thousands of people who crossed over when the Border Patrol wasn't there, right? And then Ron DeSantis said if it was World War II, we'd shut down the border in no time. Here's a story that the news media doesn't pay any attention to. Yesterday, there was an Afghan national captured at the border, and they ran him through a check and found that he is on the terrorism watch list out of Afghanistan, which Joe Biden completely botched, of course. And I said, well, gee, that's not the first one, is it? Yesterday, but Afghanistan and yesterday and all that stuff. So I did a little search, and I found the Hill newspaper in Washington, D.C. And this story is, let's see, from April 20th of this year. At least 193 suspected of being involved in terrorism have crossed the southern border. 193. Remember, September 11th was 19 plus Zacarias Moussaoui, the 20th hijacker. 20. And here are 193. And we got Afghanistan yesterday. And we know that ISIS and Al-Qaeda are active again in Afghanistan, thanks to Joe Biden. And the Biden administration has overwhelmed our asylum system, releasing more than 1 million illegal border crossers into the country for asylum. That's just brand new. As of the end of January 2023, the immigration court had packed 2,097,000, a major increase in illegal crossings expected in May when Title 42 is terminated. And now they're lying to us about that. It's on again, it's off again, and all this. But the Border Patrol apprehended more illegal crossers who are on the terrorism watch list, which has information. The terrorism watch list has information about people suspected of being involved with, generally speaking, almost universally radical Islamic jihadi terrorism. And honestly, more than at least, we're talking, this is 193 people on the terrorism watch list. And that's just fine with the Biden administration and with our news media because of the merger of state and corporate power. Just amazing stuff, right? 193. Why would that be a problem? Not a thing, right? Just extraordinary. And now let's get to because you could go on about the border all day long, of course. In San Diego, California, which is German, the mayor, San Diego needs resources to deal with migrant crisis. That's the headline out of San Diego today. Mayor Bill Wells said, we need federal assistance. We're just completely overwhelmed. The detention centers long since reached maximum capacity, and migrants now being taken to hotels because it's the only thing left to do. In New York, they're overwhelmed. In Chicago, they're overwhelmed. In New York, they're literally putting scores into a gymnasium where kids are still going to school. In San Diego, they cleared out a homeless encampment and it's, illegals and junkies and mentally ill people. And the residents got videos of all these criminal acts taking place, right? And of course, the people being captured are being given orders to appear in court. And the news media now has pictures of the orders to appear in court in 2027, right? Years from now. And some of them are getting orders to appear in court 10, 12, and 13 years from now. And then the news media and the Democrats, but I repeat myself, tell us that the system is not being overwhelmed. And it's just Republicans saying this stuff. I love this headline also, this story from Newsweek magazine. Joe Biden's worst nightmare comes true at the border. I'm sorry, Joe Biden. See how they view it through the prism of how it affects Joe Biden, because it's a Democrat Party front group like so many other so-called media organizations. I don't really care how it's affecting Joe Biden. How is it affecting the country, the people, the economy? But at Newsweek, All they care about is how it affects Joe Biden. That's our news media. We've also got an update out of New York City and Daniel Penny, who is now the target of the lynch mob. In Chicago, the Democrats are dumping migrants by the plane load in black communities, and the black communities are furious about it, demanding that they be removed. These are low political influence neighborhoods. They're powerless neighborhoods. And the African-American leaders in Chicago are furious. It's all on Biden, but in the news media, there is nothing to see here. Let's go to, because in New York City, Daniel Penny, who's out on bail, being charged with manslaughter, former Marine. The Democrat Party's out to lynch him, which is their history and their want. And the former chief of the Detroit Police Department, James Craig, was on the television this morning talking about this and what the real problem is.
Let's talk about what happened recently, and it was unfortunate. You're talking about a mentally ill man on the train and a former Marine who goes in and tries to stop a bad event. Unfortunately, the young man died. Do we blame it on him, or should we blame it on a broken system, government system of treating the mentally ill?
As I've been talking about for so very long now, for years, former Detroit Police Chief James Craig.
And then the outgrowth of that is protest. Now, let's change it for a minute. What if that was a police officer that got killed? Now, granted, everybody comes out for the pomp and circumstance. The politicians come out. But where's the angry community when a police officer putting his life on the line gets killed? Where's that?
When 244 police officers died in the line of duty last night, you see Joe Biden talk about any of them. You see Joe Biden talk about them in a commencement address, getting a fake PhD. You see any of that? No, the Democrats riot over everything except for the right things. And it is National Police Week. A lot of events going on in Washington this week for National Police Week. And Joe Biden, as I understand it, is not attending any of them. He's not going to speak at any of the National Police Week events in Washington, D.C. 224 American police officers who were killed in the line of duty last year. Events in D.C. and the Democrats are a violently and virulently anti-police political party. I'm not going to get to Ron DeSantis talking about diversity. I ran out of time for Ron DeSantis, but I think we'll get to Ron DeSantis tomorrow. Good stuff.